Kerema locals affected by fuel spillage. New Pacific International Hospital opens. And PM says coalition is stable and PNG not broke.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Friday's news. It's good to have your company once again. A substantial amount of Jet A1 fuel has been spilled at the Interoil storage camp at Herisu in the Gulf province. The Jet A1 fuel spill occurred last Thursday, affecting garden produce and health of local people living nearby. Locals are questioning the ability of Interoil's response to the oil spill incident and whether they have an environmental response plan.
The incident happened last Thursday when substantial liters of Jet A1 fuel spilled out from a storage tank in the camp. It runs into this garden adjacent to the camp, contaminating food crops. The cause of the spill still remains unclear, but when EMTV visited the site yesterday, the fuel is visibly floating. Roots of garden products were coated with oil and dying. Grasses were also losing their colors and dying out. The garden owner says since the incident, Interoil has remained silent. He urged them to come clear and compensate the nearby landowners for damages.
Now. So time to work in garden. And by na we go no next year. Also na me like company no looking this la by kisim long blood time.
The clan chief, Fred Levo, who lives next to the site perimeter, says his wife and 5 children, including a year-old baby, were badly polluted with the smell of the fuel. They were prevented from making fire and told to evacuate, but he says medical checks revealed that the fumes they breathe may have a long-term effect.
Very blummy. Fifth night, I'm still get up and me smelling something, mouse lamb and goose lamb, and some, smell is still stop yet. Now I'm vomit to go morning. Morning now make him go to the hospital. Now doctor talk. This is something now I'm walk now. Also now I'm advising to or giving medicine. I'm come back.
Concerns were also raised about the slow response by Interoil to minimize the spread of fuel and the inability of on-site community affairs officers to advise local people what to do. A woman says if rain continues, they fear their fishing grounds will be contaminated.
So me play wait, go now 8 days now. So no I respond blood. So how me play work lo stop here, it's very hard. Me play breeding na em hard lo by come out. Em by stop 3 or 2 years em by affect. All mama. All pikinini, even all pikinini, I'm working bagarapinis. Where me being capsized go down, me bagarapi environment na healthy blomifla. So I'm by go come whole mangrove waste and up all get them bagarap now.
Unconfirmed reports are that about 15,000 liters of Jet A1 fuel has spilled out of the storage tank, contaminating an estimated 100 meters by 50 meters of land area. Holes were dug on the ground to trap fuel, but that is still not effective. Over 8 empty drums of fuel were already refilled with spilled oil and left inside the garden. Yesterday, the villagers outlined their petition, giving an ultimatum until Sunday for Interoil to respond and send an independent investigator to carry out investigations.
Basically, we're asking for an independent environmental assessor to come and probably DEC. They can appoint someone to come and do an independent assessment of the oil spillage. It's Jet A1 fuel and it's over I think 18,000 liters, which is a disaster already. So that's our first demand, and we'll look at the extent of the damage from the assessment, and we'll make our claims for compensation. But time being, we're asking them to look after the immediate people, families affected by the oil spill, to look after them in terms of fresh water and some food.
However, as of midday today, EMTV received reports that Interoil Community Affairs has refused to meet with the LOs and they locked up the gate into the site. In a media statement, Interoil says the incident is minor and they have deployed environmental specialists to investigate. However, the people say the incident is not minor. The people demanded that Interoil meet with them and explain the consequences and effects this will have on them. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
The increased number of street kids in NCD has prompted NCD Governor Powis Parkip to query the growing phenomena. Governor Parkip was concerned that it was not a cultural norm for PNG to have increased numbers of street kids. Another important issue brought to Parliament's attention is the growing number of child pornography, which has now become accessible through the internet and other mediums.
Governor Parkop was of the view that PNG has land and food, and therefore we cannot be disadvantaged or landless, or let alone have street kids. He said although churches have built shelters and organizations to deal with these problems, he questioned the government's position on orphanages and disadvantaged children.
The question that I want to put is that, are we going to support the orphanage? Secondly, is there a law governing orphanage? Thirdly, is there some rules currently existing to regulate this type of institution?
Governor Parkop was also worried about the growing number of pornographic material circulating in the city and also children accessing these illegal sites online, questioning the functions of the National Censorship Board.
They are posting it on website or internet. You got pictures of young girls as young as 14 or even lower, plus the men. Everybody knows it. I've got sent some of these pictures by people in the city. So these issues can be addressed. Is the censorship board monitoring those type of activity?
It's going through, will be tabled in Parliament, and I hope to bring it in the next Parliament session to pass this bill, which I will need also the NCDC governor's support to pass this bill. That can help the NCDC also, because we have NCDC Welfare Office that will be also governed by this law to look after these children. Briefly, this law will lead the welfare officers to get all these children while putting these children in a home like Root House and all these partners that are currently looking after the children.
In another related matter, Wabeg MP Robert Ganim asked if the policy on disadvantaged children was nearing completion, as it has taken almost 1 year to compile the report.
The Parliament was work long one paper back around and the line instead of all picking it as all. Because now you talk people are working look at them picking in the act. But you got number paper to department they look long and more. You work long and long. Crowd all line you got problem with them tinting long all now. All disabled picking.
Minister Gore assured the House that her department will soon complete the report and also bring to Parliament the Lukautim Pikinini Act next week.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and this Lookout Pikinini Act covers the laws that will help welfare officers and our partners who are looking after these children, govern them to help look after these children.
Bridget Komatep, National EMTV News.
Tedira Primary School in the nation's capital is experiencing shortage in classroom facilities and its teachers. Head teacher Hannah Charlie revealed that students have been using makeshift tents out in the open and libraries as classrooms. Mrs. Charlie said shortages of teachers are also affecting the students' learning after its smooth start into the 2015 academic year. UPNG journalism student Eric Harupa has more on this report.
We're trying our very best.
Head teacher Anne Charlie says with the increasing number of students intake this year, Tediro Primary School is experiencing limited classroom facility and teacher shortage.
The shortage of classroom when the TFF policy came into place, and then we had high influx of students coming in because we are not allowed to send them away. We got to accept it because it's a policy they're here to stay for 5 years.
This year, the school has enrolled up to 2,000 students from lower to upper primary level. Students overcrowding in the school is demanding more teachers and classroom facilities. As a result, the school administration has had to find temporary venues for the students. Tents have been erected to accommodate for 2 grade 3 classes, and classes are usually disrupted when it rains. Alternatively, another grade 3 classes have been using the library. Students are squeezed into sections of the library shelves without enough space to move around freely. This poses a difficult situation for students because the environment is not conducive for study purposes.
The grade 3s in the library, 3 grade 3s in the library, because it's a very big space. And also we brought 2 tents in from rent a tent to accommodate the grade 3 so that we have we are not short of classroom.
A blocked storage system is also posing a health risk for students. The chances of contracting contagious diseases is high. This level 8 school has achieved positive academic results over the years. The school administration is now pleading to local MPs and authorities concerned to assist in providing funding for the erection of new classrooms. Meanwhile, the school is yet to receive its tuition fee-free subsidy from the government. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Nearly 4 weeks since a hailstorm struck the Barola area of Eastern Highlands, causing landslides that forced a temporary closure of the Highlands Highway. On Tuesday this week, heavy downpour damaged the Bani Bridge at Kainantu, another key link along the Highlands Highway. For the past 2 days, locals have set up a temporary bypass and collecting fees from every vehicle passing through. The Bani Bridge blockade has brought to light yet again the deteriorating state of the Highlands Highway. Our reporter Edwin Fidelis brings you tonight's EMTV News special report.
This was what's left from a heavy downpour on Tuesday night, caused erosions at the edge of the Bani Bridge. Since Tuesday, the Bani Bridge section of Kainantu has been temporarily closed. On Tuesday morning, at least 6 roadblocks were set up and fees were collected from every vehicle that passes through the temporary bypass. Yesterday, the situation remained calm but under close watch. Locals reaffirmed their stand that they won't allow traffic to move freely until they get a favorable response from the national government. The issue has stemmed from an outstanding land dispute between the government and the people here.
That is the problem tamblem affecting the whole section. So now we have the incident lo tamlo lo bridge was out abatment base lo bridge. So now these communities are the landowners are taking advantage of plant roadblocks. Now like all hierarchies lo come down talk one time more.
Yesterday, local leaders agreed to reopen this section of the highway, but they came up with a list of demands put to both the Eastern Highlands provincial government and the national government.
Amasius common payment, please me like him you payment. Lord, it must be clear. Now all people belong Amasla province, it must be kitchen service.
They have agreed to remove the blockage, but will have the road blocked again if they don't get any response from the government.
Or pova ground will last place Otare road, na I'm all strike. So all must stop now. Government fixing all now opening road na road.
The Bani Bridge blockade has again revealed the deteriorating state of the Highlands Highway. About 4 weeks ago, another landslip at Barola blocked off the highway after a heavy downpour. In 2013, another landslip at Watabung area destroyed homes and buried men, women and children alive. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill last December announced that the island's highway will be upgraded.
So we are going to do a call-out and use the assistance of the Defence Force and particularly the Engineering Battalion of the Defence Force.
The Treasury Minister Patrick Pruitt last month said the government has a allocated budget for the upgrading of the highway.
And if there is a need for us to source for additional funding, and if it is a desire of government and consistent with the call made the Prime Minister, yes, the government will do that.
The Bani blockade in Kainantu this week was not the first and it won't be the last. More blockades along the highway would mean disruption of supplies and other essentials that are being transported to the other 7 Highlands provinces. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Leh.
Still on the same story, while those traveling along the Highlands Highway may find the Bani Bridge blockade too expensive, others find it rewarding. Locals at the Mune Fintino area of Kainantu district have created a money-making avenue. While some are collecting money from vehicles, others are offering their services by ferrying goods across the bridge on wheelbarrows.
The blockade at Bani Bridge remained closely monitored by youths who are collecting fees from every vehicle that crosses. The bridge is damaged and some parts of the road that was blocked by landowners have created an opportunity for them to demand payment from vehicles and the traveling public. While the situations do not look good, Lawrence Biku says his 3-day-old business that started on Tuesday looks promising. The landowners set up 4 roadblocks on the highway at various parts of the Bani area, including at the Bani Bridge. 20 kina, 50 kina and 100 kina fees were charged on every vehicle that has the money and was willing to pay and go through the blockade. The dispute is expected to slow down more goods and services from reaching the 7 Highlands provinces. He has made over 300 kina in the last 2 days. If the blockade continues, he is expected to make more. While some profit, it has become a hassle for motorists and travelers. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Leh.
And National MTV News continues with today's coverage of Parliament coming up after the break. Stay with us. Good to have you back with the news. The People's National Congress Party and the United Resource Party have entered into an alliance agreement that will further strengthen their coalition partnership. PNC leader and Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and United Resource Party leader William Duma maintain that the coalition is stable since forming government in 2012. MTV's Fabian Hakelitz has more on this report.
The alliance agreement signed today between the People's National Congress Party and the United Resource Party have further sealed its coalition partnership until the 2017 national elections. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said both parties will provide political stability to ensure the current government remains, maintains and implements its policies. Parties will put together its numbers to defeat any vote of no confidence and motion that will challenge the government.
So our coalition is very, very stable for the first time in the history of our country. I think many of you also know that we are probably the only very stable government in the Pacific, given that some of our neighbors are experiencing their own leadership issues.
United Resource Party coalition partner with 8 members also maintains its partnership with the O'Neill-Dion government. Party leader William Duma gave assurance both parties give effect to alliance agreement.
Government in 2011 has always remained committed and loyal to our Prime Minister and his party. The party has always believed in providing stability for this country so that all the policies and intentions of various governments are put into place. In the case of Prime Minister and his party, it is no different. We've all seen that the policies of the O'Neill-Dion government.
The People's National Congress Party and the United Resource Party pledge to support each other to form the next government immediately after the 2017 national elections. Fabian Hakelitz, National MTV News.
Vanimore Green MP Belden Nama has clarified rumours surrounding his move to the government. He says he will remain in the opposition but will not be part of Sam Basil and Don Pollier, the reasons being that they have differing policies.
Speculation surrounding his move to the government benches have had everyone talking, but Mr. Nama made it clear he is not moving.
I am in the opposition, but I will not be part of the Pollier-Basil opposition.
However, he will not be associating himself with other opposition MPs like Don Pollier and Sam Basil due to differing policies. He was clearly not pleased with the manner in which he was removed as the leader of the opposition. The opposition conducted a caucus meeting and appointed Kandep MP Don Polier as the new leader of the opposition in the absence of Belden Nama.
I don't believe in people who do not have respect for others. I don't know where Polier came from. But the fact is that we have different policies. I am basically in the opposition as a member for Vanimo Green, representing my people of Vanimo Green, and as the leader of PNG Party, representing PNG Party.
Nama says he will continue to pursue the interest of his people on the opposition bench and will raise issues of national interest. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Finance Minister James Marape maintains that Papua New Guinea's economy is stable and that the country is not broke. The Finance Minister made these comments when responding to questions raised by West New Britain Governor Sasindran Muthuvel. Once again, Fabian Hakelitz reports.
West New Britain Governor Sasindran Muthuvel in Parliament this morning questioned if PNG's economy was on target and if the 2015 District Services and Provincial Services Improvement Program funds were ready.
Are we on target with its money plan for 2015? Now, me like ask him too also, you mean closing budget for 2014 on time or no got? Number 3, for the benefit of all the MPs also, me like Save also, one time through, you mean by receiving this PSIP na DSIP below 2015.
But Finance Minister James Marape maintains the country's economic growth is secured and stable because the current government was closely monitoring expenditures.
The economy and where we are, I think we don't need to panic. If the government is not composed, if the government doesn't have money, today you and me will not be sitting in this house with electricity running, our bills paid on time.
Finance Minister told Parliament that in 2014, national government fulfilled 97% of the total budget, 3% of which is for deferred projects.
3%, there were some national government projects that were deferred into this year because we ran out of time last year, we concluded last year, and so we defer all these commitments into 2014. So I beg your pardon, 2015, Mr. Speaker, as well as it will be within government radar for these programs to be fulfilled, some of our key road projects and highway projects right across the country.
The District Services and Provincial Services Improvement Program funds will be released soon. However, it will only be released to the MPs who submitted acquittals.
But the onus is now on yourselves to ensure that the Wulupindi House, Planning, Treasury and Finance receives your acquittal so that we work to release the first beds to be transferred to you.
Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
The leadership of Aitapelumi MP Patrick Pruach was questioned in Parliament today. Vanimo Green MP Belden Nama says Mr. Pruach is illegally occupying the Aitapelumi seat. However, his attempts to clarify his points were suppressed by the Deputy Speaker Aide Ganasi.
After a long silence, former opposition frontman Belden Nama made his presence felt in Parliament. His question to seek clarification on the status of Aitapelumi MP Patrick Pruach sparked an outburst on the floor. He held a news conference after Parliament to clarify his point.
A positive way that I am trying to also help him to clear his position. And if what they claim is true, then by all means, he can continue to perform his responsibilities and duties as the treasurer of Papua New Guinea and as member for Aitapelumi. But if it doesn't, then he will come back to me and say, "Thank you. You raised this issue, and I didn't make some of the decisions that I shouldn't have made. That it could have legal implications on him in future."
Several MPs from the government interjected, suppressing Mr. Nama from asking his question. The Speaker was caught off guard by the war of words from the MPs struggling to control the drama. Patrick Pruach explained that the matter is being dealt with by the courts.
And by Ombudsman Commission, that decision is overturned by a national court decision, and I am currently appealing against that decision.
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill today turned 50 years old but says more work needs to be done to improve the lives of the rural population of the country. Mr. O'Neill said his birthday does not make any difference as he thinks of his district and the government's plan to move the country forward.
We celebrate all sorts of days to celebrate things, but we need to take time and think about those who are unfortunate than us. We celebrate all sorts of days to celebrate things, but we need to take time and think about those who are unfortunate.
Public-private partnership has reached new heights of national significance in health service delivery. The launch of Pacific International Hospital's new site at 3 Mile Hill is proof of this partnership. The hospital will have PNG's first cath lab and have heart surgery available all year round. This will hopefully cut down the number of patients travelling overseas for treatments.
It was a grand turnout at the new Pacific International Hospital at 3 Mile Hill in the nation's capital. High-profile guests included Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and other ministers, including Health Minister Michael Malabag, Minister for Public Enterprises Ben Micah, and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Other important stakeholders included heads of the IPBC, MVIL, MRDC, and others from the business sector and medical professionals. It was an elaborate event that illustrated the determination and achievement of public-private partnership in providing health services to Papua New Guineans. PIH CEO Dr. Amina Sultan said the hospital presents many firsts in medical services. PNG's first sophisticated cath lab